Hi, I'm Scott Roberts, team leader for KS Storm, and I'm talking with the lead forecaster Matt Harding at the moment. We're going to talk about our briefing for today's threat level, and it looks like we have a pretty serious threat going on, Matt. I saw your forecast post this morning, but give us a brief on that as well as the changes that have occurred since you did the forecast early morning hours.
Well, we obviously have the Storm Prediction Center highlighting most of central and western Kansas and a moderate risk for severe thunderstorms this afternoon. This means that the potential for widespread damaging thunderstorms is higher than what we've dealt with the last several days. Yes, there's been large tornadoes in northern Kansas. We could see a greater number of those today across central and western Kansas. Uh, this morning, the Storm Prediction Center did upgrade the tornado risk to a 15% chance of tornadoes in southwest Kansas into western Oklahoma. That will move east as we head on into the evening hours, and Scott and I will talk about that coming up here in just a minute. It does look like the ingredients are coming together, though, as we've been talking for the last day and a half or so, for a significant severe weather event later today.
And Matt, we're looking at the composite graphic, and I produced that before the update on the Outlook area this morning about 7:30, and that 15% area basically hugs the western edge of the tornado graphic. Is that right?
Yeah, it essentially goes from the US 54 corridor in the Dodge City area over to Greensburg and then south into western Oklahoma, takes up the Frederick, Oklahoma, Altus, Oklahoma area, and then down into western North Texas, primarily west of Wichita Falls. It is going to be well to the west of Wichita, Moore, Oklahoma City, Enid, but that tornado threat will move east as we head into the evening. So don't think because you're out of the 15% category that you're out of the woods with the tornado risk. That is not at all correct.
And the hail risk is pretty big as well today.
Absolutely. We have a very good chance of seeing hail probably up in excess of 4 inches. We had reports of that over the last several days across parts of Kansas. Very large hail will be possible with these thunderstorms, especially as they mature and come off of the dry line. The highest risk for that appears to be west of a line from the Salina to Wichita area down toward the Red River, just north of Dallas, and then on west into the body of western Oklahoma, western Kansas, and the eastern Texas Panhandle.
The Wichita Metro, though, could see some of that large hail.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very good chance that we could see severe hail, 45% chance of that, and then a 45% chance as well of significant hail being 2 inches or greater.
Okay, let's look at a couple of the factors that are combining to generate this. I'm showing the Cape off of one of the models right now for about 7 o'clock tonight. It's looking like we have kind of a hot spot right about the South Kansas line, south of Dodge City.
Yeah, it does. What this model is looking at is it's looking at the available energy in the atmosphere that is necessary for thunderstorms to grow, provided that you have a parcel that can move through the atmosphere freely. And this looks at the higher the number, the more energy that a storm has, and we're looking at 3,000 to 4,000 units of CAPE or available energy in southwest Kansas, south of Dodge City, to around the Woodward area in northern Oklahoma.
And interestingly, in the next graphic, at 3 hours later, that little bubble really hasn't moved much.
No, it really hasn't. It looks like this pattern will stay rather stagnant. It's the same pattern we've been in for the last several days with the dry line sitting in western Kansas and a stationary front or some sort of boundary hanging in northern Kansas. And right off of that dry line is usually where the highest energy for thunderstorms are. And as you say, Scott, that does not move as we head into 10 o'clock this evening.
However, it does bubble to the east, and I see we're starting to approach the 3,000 Cape level, even just to the west of Wichita. So, again, we want to highlight that risk that we're looking at the strong possibility of tornadoes setting down, lasting for a while, and being quite strong while they're at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that potential will only increase as we get a river of air coming off of the surface deck at about 5,000 feet. That influence will start to kick in around sunset, just a little bit before sunset. So those storms that tend to have a little bit of a tough time setting down a big tornado may actually have a little bit better chance of doing it once we get the influence of that low-level jet just about 5,000 feet off the ground. Not to say it won't happen, but that is a possibility as we head into the late afternoon evening hours, especially in this environment.
I've also highlighted an area, again, back in that little southwest Kansas target area that really we have some just tremendous lift available to us in the parcels of air today.
Yeah, we're looking at minus 10 to minus 14 lifted indices there, which is, again, another measure of how unstable the atmosphere is. It's going to be a very unstable atmosphere across most of Kansas today. And again, that lifted index is a way that meteorologists can use to judge how quickly storms will become severe. So if a storm moves into that environment that you see highlighted there, a storm can become severe in less than a half hour.
Yeah.
And grow in even more than that as we move through time. So storms will quickly become severe very late today.
I saw mentioned in some of the discussions the forecast soundings as well as the actual soundings made with the weather balloons this morning, taking on a loaded gun type appearance. And when a forecaster says that, they're looking at a sounding similar to the one I've highlighted here, where we've got the good spin of the air in the lower atmosphere and a lot of potential energy to work with. Do you see any changes? Do you see the twist happening further up into the atmosphere, or even perhaps some more intense twist at the low levels?
I do see just a little bit later in this sounding we would have seen the winds increase at that 850 line, and that would have been the low-level jet taking shape and influencing the thunderstorm activity. That would be the only thing that I think would only enhance this sounding. So we're again looking with that loaded gun sounding. We're again looking for the potential for strong, long-track tornadoes continuing even after sundown.
Okay, so we're playing the loop now of the significant tornado parameter. This is a parameter that shows the potential for the stronger and long track tornadoes. Interestingly to me, we start off fairly early in the day. We're looking probably at an initial target somewhere around Meade, Mineola, and points to the south there. But as things gear up in the evening, it looks like probably our strategy is going to be pull back east, and we may be looking at threat to the metro tonight.
Yeah, very possible. You could start out there and end up working into the Wichita area again, with the possibility that the thunderstorms, that unless they congeal into a line, would be supercell thunderstorms, and that's what we're looking at here. This is the parameter that also looks at if a storm, given the environment, has the chance to produce a tornado, what is the rate up to a scale of 10 that it would have a chance of producing a significant tornado. Again, not to be an alarmist here, but those values are very high as we head into the after sundown hours.
We've been focusing quite a bit on the tornado risk, but we really do need to highlight with the wheat starting to reach maturity and the like, we could see some pretty heavy economic damage if we get some really big hailstorms.
Absolutely. We've seen these storms not really move the last several days. There was an instance in Nemaha County yesterday where the storm was only moving at 5 miles an hour. The storm in Bennington last night moved at like 5 miles an hour for a half hour, if that. If you get a very large thunderstorm that produces very large hail sitting over a wheat field, and it does it for a long period of time, that wheat field is gone, and that could do significant damage to the wheat crop in that area. And again, this is definitely not a forecast that farmers want to see with the potential for very large hail over a lot of wheat fields in western Kansas.
Some of our followers are also truck drivers, and they're going to have a little bit of difficulty even beforehand with the wind. We've got quite a bit of wind coming into this even before it ever goes severe.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of central and western Kansas are under a wind advisory for today, and that means that strong winds will be out of the south today. And I-70, US 54, Interstate 40 in Oklahoma, Interstate 80 in Nebraska, all east-west roadways will have significant crosswind today. So if you're a truck driver, put an extra hand on that wheel.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. We are probably going to be out on the road a little bit after 1 o'clock this afternoon, and you can look for our streams online. We'll also post to our Facebook page when those are up and running as well. And we hope everybody stays safe and keeps following for more information throughout